Today we are looking at my very favorite color combinations in the Prismacolor Premier colored pencil line. Now these are the combos that you'll see me use time and time again. These are my go-to favorites, so stick around. Hello colorists, welcome to Pencil Stash, a weekly show all about coloring. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing to get all the new content, and be sure to hit that like button if you're enjoying my videos. Hey PencilStashers! As I took a look at what to prepare for you guys this week, I was just really not feeling a coloring page. Just wasn't feeling it. And I know that you all enjoy the videos where we tackle like one particular technique or method for coloring, so I thought we'd do something fun in a similar vein today. And I thought that we could take a look at my favorite color combos. Now, color palettes and choosing your individual colors can be quite challenging. It's definitely something that I continue to struggle with. So let's take a look at my go-to color combinations from the Prismacolor Premier line specifically. And I usually like to inject some colors from the Crayola brand as well, just for a little bit less pigmentation. But for purposes of this video and, knowing that some folks just have one, set of colored pencils, I just decided to keep it to the Prismacolor Premiers. And just for fun, this is why it takes me so long to put videos out, because Puppy likes to nap on my lap, which is where my computer is supposed to go. You're so cute though. I'm going to point out some tips too, because I know I've mentioned this a ton of times before, but my color pencil chart is such a helpful guide when I'm going to choose my colors or a combination of colors or my entire palette for an entire page. Now, everything is right here, so you can easily see what colors might naturally go with other colors. And if you missed my video on this handy dandy worksheet and where you can get your own, I'm going to link that video in a card in the upper right hand corner. You can click right on that and it'll take you right to that video. Now, when I say color combinations, I'm limiting this discussion to the colors that I would put together in the same space. So not necessarily next to one another. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So, like how you might wear blue jeans with an orange shirt. That's not quite what I mean. I'm talking more like the oranges that might make up that orange shirt. So we're going to kind of keep it simplified to, just the colors that you would put in one space, one object to kind of give you that overall appearance of orange. So let's get right into it. Our first color combination is probably the one that I use the most often. You guys have probably seen this a million times. And this is sort of my Seafoam green and robin's egg blue combo. And this one's made up of jade green, muted turquoise, slate blue, and indigo blue. And so to demonstrate our color combinations, I thought that we would use this page from Magical Jungle, and we're just going to start with our lightest color in kind of these little shapes here on this leaf. And we're going to start with our lightest color, jade green, right here in the center, and then we'll work our way outward with muted turquoise, with slate blue, and indigo blue, just to kind of give you a visual demonstration of what these colors would look like and how they kind of harmoniously go together. Now, as I'm doing this, you're going to notice that I am feathering my layers together at those transition areas, those areas where they meet, and that is going to make all of these different colors fade nicely into one another, so don't forget to do that. And to finish it off, I'll be using my blending pencil in circular strokes, starting with the lightest color and using medium pressure to bring all these beauties together. Now, I really gravitate to this color range. It's probably my favorite out of all of these. It's soft and muted, but it still reads as blue. So it can fit right in amongst an outdoor scene, which most coloring pages I find are, at least the ones that I like to do, without standing out as being too bright or too kind of jarring against its more earthy counterparts. Definitely a reason why it's one of my favorites. Now, our next color palette is this Rosy Mauve combination, and it is made up of rosy beige, clay rose, henna, and Tuscan red. And the same deal with all of these. I'm going to start in the middle of each section and work my way outward towards the darkest color. And what I like about this combination is nearly the same as why I liked the previous range, the blue range, and that is because it is muted, but it still reads as pink. Now, I'm very drawn to colors that are not too bright. So what I would classify as more kind of earthy versions of bright colors. Kind of lovely, but still just a bit watered down without being too bright. And you'll find that most of the colors that I like to use, I do in a gradient. And that kind of gives me a nice range from my lightest all the way to my darker tones in the same color. And I like to finish this one off with Tuscan Red, which is quite a bit darker than the lightest color here, but I find that it just adds a lot of interest to the overall combination, since the first three colors are actually quite similar to one another. This Tuscan Red just kind of punches it up a notch. And sometimes it's fun to mix in a bit of Prismacolor's Raspberry too, if you want to add in just a bit more of that like kind of berry magenta sort of color. It's a good one to add. Our next combo is where we are going to mix it up a bit, and it is Chartreuse, Lime Peel, Artichoke, Marine Green, and here's the kicker, Black Raspberry. Now, the inspiration for this color palette really comes from succulents. You know those succulents, those plants that are like real bright and poppy with kind of like their lighter green colors, and they have some really lovely deep green tones too, but then their tips kind of end with this real kind of punchy purple color. I just love those. I actually have them all around my house. Actually, they're outside right now because they love the hot Chicago summer, but that's where the inspiration for this palette comes from. And I really like adding in kind of a bit of the unexpected there with that purple raspberry color there at the end. And when you're blending this one, if you push too much of that green into the black raspberry area, it can get a little bit muddy and start to read as brown. So I try to keep the direction of my strokes of my blending pencil going from the purple towards the green. It just kind of keeps that purple, that black raspberry color more true. The next combo is Deco Peach, Peach, Mineral Orange, and Pumpkin Orange. And our friend, once again, Tuscan Red. And what I like about this one is the inclusion of the two light peach colors. It just kind of keeps this orange from being too orange. Orange is not one of my favorite colors, and I wouldn't say that I don't use it because I absolutely do, but when I do, I like to pair it with some of these light colors just to kind of give it a little bit of life. Some of these light colors, these darker reds, especially because the other thing is that the oranges in the Prismacolor range can be a little bit one note. They're all kind of similar to one another. So again, if you put them, those kind of traditional oranges in the range, if you put them right next to each other, you really don't get too much. So to get some color variation, you really do have to stray away from those oranges to get the look that you want. And you can do that with the peaches and the Tuscan Red. All right, let's have some fun with purple now, specifically with Deco Pink, Grade Lavender, Dahlia Purple, and Black Grape. Now, purple has, again, not really been one of my favorite colors, and it's unusual because it's usually pretty high on the list of a girl's favorite color, but not mine. But for some reason, I absolutely love this Dahlia Purple color. And I've gone through a handful of this pencil already, and I've replaced it with open stock time and time again because I go through it so quickly. And it's kind of the same thing with this Grade Lavender, which I greatly prefer over the regular lavender, which for me is way too pink. The Prismacolor lavender, it's way too pink. I think I've used that color about maybe 3 times, and I've regretted it each and every time. But this Grade Lavender is just perfect. It's just enough of that kind of soft, real feminine lavender color without reading too pink. And to cap it all off, Black Grape. And to be honest, you can use any of the darker purples in the Prismacolor range here pretty interchangeably with the black grape here because they're all amazing, especially the dark purple, the black raspberry, and the black cherry, whichever suits your fancy. Our next combo will be more in the red range, and that is light peach, salmon pink, poppy red, and scarlet lake. Now there's a beautiful range of reds in the Prismacolor Premier set, but again, I do find that they are just a little bit too close to one another. If you were to kind of put them up against one another, they don't have enough variation. So when I do use these, I tend to pair them with these light peach and kind of salmon colors. It really gives me the different tones that I'm looking for to make it dynamic, but it will still ultimately read as red. And I do want to point out an honorable mention that did not make the cut here, but is absolutely one of my favorite pencils, and that is Carmine Red. And can we just stop for a moment and admire its loveliness? Is it red? Is it pink? Is it orange? No, it's all of them and yet none of them. It's just so, so pretty. Now let's brighten things up a bit with a true blue range. Another one of my favorites, as you can tell from the short and stubby state of most of these pencils. They are gray-green light, light aqua, aquamarine, peacock blue, and indranthone blue. And I love pairing these turquoise blues with this very, very pale green color. Somehow they just complement each other so nicely. So you can use the light green for highlights in your blues, like reflections on water or in a jewel, really anything that you want. And I also find that this color combination can read as very tropical. So this is a fun one to use in this actual very coloring book, this Magical Jungle by Joanna Basford. It's a great example of how you can pack 5 colors in a small area and you still get the benefits of all 5 of them. You know, you're really not losing any of the tones of any of them. They just really work very cohesively together. And on to our final color combination, which we've yet to touch on today, which is yellow. And those are cream, deco yellow, jasmine, yellow ochre, and goldenrod. And I love this color combination when using yellows because I find, again, that the Prismacolor line doesn't have a ton of variation in its yellows. So you do kind of have to go from the lightest color in the range, which is cream, to one of the darkest, which is this goldenrod color, to really get that kind of wide variety, that range of color that you need to make your yellows look dynamic and not flat. Now, another honorable mention in this range is bronze, which is another color that I use a ton, especially when I'm trying to give my yellow range the look of gold. You just kind of tarnish at the edges with this bronze color. And it is a workhorse, but it didn't quite make the cut in this range of yellows. And there you have it. These are my top 8 favorite color combinations with my set of Prismacolor Premiers. Now, I do have the full set of 150 pencils, so all the pencils that I use today can be found in that set. And I know that you guys might not have that very, very large set. You guys might have some smaller ones. So if any of those pencils were of interest to you, you can always get them open stock at your local art supply store. But if you don't have them, it's okay. You know, there's so many colors that Prismacolor offers that you can easily supplement. And don't forget to check out that video with the color chart. I will link to it again here in the corner if you guys are interested in checking it out. And another great tip is to use scrap paper. You know, as you kind of look at your page and you're kind of thinking of a color combination and you're not quite sure if it's going to work, use a bit of scratch paper and just kind of try it out, you know, practice. Find your own favorite color combinations. They are so good to just kind of keep in your back pocket, and you'll definitely find ones that you like using all the time, the ones that kind of speak to you. So anyway, that is it for me today. I really appreciate you guys watching. If you enjoy this video, hit the like button, that thumbs up button down below. It helps out my channel a ton. And if you want more Pencil Stash tutorials, you can always visit my channel for even more videos, all centered around coloring and using colored pencils. And if you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below, and I will see you next time. Bye!